The day they stole my life savings. I didn't cry. I smiled. My name is Zella, and I've been the family disappointment for as long as I can remember. While my siblings collected degrees like trophies, I collected paychecks from whatever job would have me. Gas station attendant by day, diner waitress by night, 28 years old and still living in my childhood bedroom because rent in this city costs more than I make in 2 months. Zella, can you cover my shift tonight? My coworker Danny leaned against the counter, already pulling off his uniform vest. My girlfriend's having some drama. Sure. I didn't look up from restocking cigarettes. Danny had girlfriend drama 3 times a week, but I needed the overtime. The bell chimed as a customer walked in. Designer heels clicked across the grimy linoleum, a sound that didn't belong in our neighborhood. I turned around, and there she was. Gianna, my older sister, looking like she'd stepped out of a magazine. Her engagement ring caught the fluorescent lights, throwing tiny rainbows across the lottery ticket display. Well, well. She examined her manicured nails. Still playing store clerk, I see. It's called working. I rang up her bottled water. Some of us have to. Some of us chose better paths. She slid a 20 across the counter. Speaking of which, I need to talk to you about tomorrow. Tomorrow, her wedding day. The event our parents had been planning and paying for like it was a royal coronation. I'm working a double. You're coming to my wedding, Zella, family obligation. Her voice carried that lawyer tone she'd perfected in law school. Mom specifically requested you be there for photos. I handed her the change, so I can be the cautionary tale in your wedding album. Don't be dramatic. But she was already walking toward the door. Be there by noon, and try to look presentable. The bell chimed again as she left, taking her cloud of expensive perfume with her. That night, I came home to chaos. Cars lined our driveway, catering trucks, a florist van. Our modest house buzzed with wedding preparations, and I slipped through the back door, hoping to avoid the circus. There she is, Mom's voice carried from the kitchen. Zella, come help with the centerpieces. I found her surrounded by white roses and gold ribbon, directing 2 women I didn't recognize. Mom looked radiant, the mother of the bride, finally getting her perfect daughter's perfect day. I need to shower. Long shift. You smell like French fries. She didn't look up from the flowers. Hurry up. Gianna wants family photos before the ceremony. Upstairs, I could hear my brother Miles in his old room, talking loudly on the phone about some investment opportunity. His finance job had made him insufferable, every conversation peppered with terms like market volatility and portfolio diversification. I locked my bedroom door and pulled out the shoebox from under my bed. My secret, my escape plan. $30,000 in cash, every bill earned through double shifts and skipped meals. 3 years of saving, one crumpled 20 at a time. I counted it again, like I did every night. My ticket out of here, my chance at something better. The next morning, I woke to the sound of hair dryers and excited chatter. The wedding was in 6 hours. I pulled on my one decent dress, black because it hid stains and matched my mood, and headed downstairs. Zella, Gianna appeared in full bridal glory, her dress a cascade of silk and lace. You look. She paused, searching for something nice to say. Clean. Thanks. You look expensive. She laughed, the sound light and musical. Daddy spared no expense. Did you see my necklace? She touched the diamond pendant at her throat. It's vintage, cost a fortune, but he said I deserved the best. Something cold settled in my stomach. It's beautiful. The ceremony was everything Gianna had dreamed of. Perfect flowers, perfect weather, perfect photos. I stood in the back during family pictures, trying to blend into the background while the photographer arranged us like props. Smile, Zella, Dad called out. This is a happy day. I smiled. The same smile I'd worn through years of disappointment and dismissal. That evening, after the last guest left and the catering trucks drove away, I climbed the stairs to my room. The house felt different, emptier somehow, like something had shifted while we were all pretending to be happy. I reached under my bed for the shoebox. It was gone. I tore apart my room, checking every corner, every hiding spot. Nothing. My hands shook as I searched, but I already knew the truth. Looking for something? Dad stood in my doorway, still wearing his wedding tuxedo. Where is it? Your little nest egg? He straightened his bow tie. We contributed it to the wedding fund. Consider it your gift to your sister. You stole from me. We invested in family. Gianna needed the perfect wedding, and you needed to learn about sacrifice. He turned to leave, then paused. Besides, what were you going to do with $30,000? Buy a better class of failure? I stood there in my destroyed room, surrounded by the wreckage of my dreams. And then I smiled, really smiled, for the first time in years. That night, I stared at myself in the bathroom mirror, my reflection distorted by the cracked glass. My lips moved, forming words too quiet for anyone else to hear. They'll regret this. All of them. 2 weeks later, I was eating a gas station sandwich in the alley behind work when I decided to buy a lottery ticket. Not because I believed in luck. Luck had never done me any favors, but the scratch off display was right there, mocking me with promises of instant millions, and I had $3 in my pocket that used to be part of my stolen savings. Give me that one. I pointed to a ticket called Golden Fortune. $20 prize maximum, according to the fine print. Enough for dinner somewhere that didn't serve food wrapped in plastic. The cashier, Mrs. Rodriguez, handed it over with a sympathetic smile. She'd watched me work double shifts for months, probably knew my story better than my own family did. Good luck, mija. I walked back to the alley and sat on an overturned milk crate, using my car key to scratch off the silver coating. The first number matched, then the second. My hands started shaking. All six numbers matched. I stared at the ticket, certain I was hallucinating from too much caffeine and not enough sleep. The prize amount seemed impossible, $500,000. $500 million. No way. I scratched the numbers again, harder this time, like I could change reality through friction. No freaking way. My phone buzzed. A text from my manager. Can you stay late? Danny called out again. I looked at the ticket, then at my phone, then back at the ticket. The numbers hadn't changed. I was holding $500 million in my trembling hands. I stood up so fast the milk crate toppled over. My sandwich fell to the ground, but I didn't care. I couldn't breathe. The alley walls felt like they were closing in. Okay. I paced in a tight circle. Okay, okay, okay. I pulled out my phone and Googled lottery winner lawyer with shaking fingers. The first result was a law firm downtown, McBride and Associates, protecting your privacy, securing your future. I called the number. McBride and Associates. This is Jennifer. I need to speak to a lawyer. Now, it's urgent. What type of legal matter? I just won the lottery, the big one. And I don't want anyone to know. A pause. Hold, please. 30 seconds later, a man's voice came on the line. This is Tucker McBride. Jennifer says you have a lottery situation? I won $500 million 15 minutes ago, and I'm sitting in an alley behind a gas station having a panic attack. Where are you exactly? I gave him the address. Don't move. Don't tell anyone. Don't even breathe on that ticket wrong. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Tucker McBride looked nothing like the lawyers on TV, mid-30s, wearing jeans and a polo shirt, driving a Honda Civic that had seen better days. He found me still pacing in the alley, clutching the ticket like a life preserver. Show me. I handed it over with the care of someone passing a newborn baby. He examined it under his phone's flashlight, then looked at me with something approaching awe. Holy shit. Is it real? It's real. He handed it back. And you're about to become very, very rich. But first, we need to talk strategy. Can you leave work? I'm supposed to stay until midnight. Call in sick. This is more important than selling energy drinks to drunk college kids. I texted my manager that I had food poisoning, then followed Tucker to a 24-hour diner 3 blocks away. He ordered coffee. I ordered coffee and pie because I suddenly felt like celebrating. First things first, Tucker said, pulling out a legal pad. Anonymous claiming, we set up a trust, claim the prize through the trust, keep your name out of the papers. It'll cost you about 50,000 in legal fees, but it's worth every penny. Why? Because lottery winners get harassed, robbed, kidnapped, and killed, not necessarily in that order. He sipped his coffee. Plus, everyone you've ever met will suddenly become your best friend, including family members who might have treated you badly in the past. I thought about Gianna's wedding necklace, about Dad's dismissive smirk, about $30,000 that had vanished like smoke. What if I want them to know eventually? Eventually is fine, but on your terms, when you're ready, with legal protection in place. Tucker leaned forward. What's your story, Zella? Why are you more angry than happy right now? I told him everything. The years of mockery, the stolen savings, the wedding that was paid for with my dreams. Tucker took notes, his expression growing darker with each detail. Jesus. Your own family? My own family. Well, they just made the biggest mistake of their lives. He closed his notepad. We're going to make you disappear, Zella. New identity, new life, complete financial independence. And when you're ready to resurface, he smiled. It'll be on your terms. The waitress refilled our coffee cups. Outside, the city hummed with late night energy, people going about their lives with no idea that everything had just changed. What do you want, Zella? Tucker asked. Really want? I thought about my empty shoebox, about Gianna's perfect wedding, about Dad's cruel words and Mom's disappointed sighs, about every slight, every insult, every moment they'd made me feel worthless. I met Tucker's eyes without blinking. I want justice. And I want them to choke on their laughter. 3 months later, I was sitting in a coffee shop in Portland, Oregon, reading about my own disappearance. Local woman missing after lottery ticket purchase. The headline read. Mom had given an interview, dabbing her eyes with tissues while describing her troubled daughter who'd vanished without a trace. She was always unstable, Mom told the reporter, working those awful jobs, never settling down. We're worried she might have hurt herself. I closed the laptop and smiled. If only she knew I was sipping a $15 latte in a city she'd never think to look. Tucker had been thorough. My new name was Zella Morrison, close enough that I'd respond naturally, different enough to fool background checks. The trust he'd set up claimed the lottery prize while I was already 3 states away, having quit both jobs via text message. My phone rang. Tucker. How's the new life treating you? Quiet. Boring. Perfect. I stirred my latte. Any updates on the home front? Your brother Miles is asking around about you, posted on social media, wondering if anyone's seen you. Got about 12 likes. Heartwarming. There's something else. I've been monitoring their finances like you asked. Your parents took out a second mortgage last month, big one. I sat up straighter. How big? 200,000. And your sister's law firm is hemorrhaging clients. 3 major cases fell through this quarter. Interesting timing. Zella, what aren't you telling me? I'd spent the last 3 months doing more than just hiding. I'd been studying, learning, planning. The business courses I'd enrolled in under my new identity were paying off faster than I'd expected. I may have made some investments. What kind of investments? The kind that hurt people who deserve it. Tucker sighed. Please tell me you're not doing anything illegal. Completely legal, just strategic. I opened my laptop again. Did you know that Gianna's biggest client is a real estate development company called Meridian Holdings? Should I? Probably not, but you should know that Meridian Holdings is about to lose their primary investor. Something about concerns over their legal representation. Zella. And Miles works for Hartwell Financial, right? Interesting company. Very interested in cryptocurrency investments. Almost suspiciously interested. What did you do? I made some phone calls, asked some questions. Turns out Miles has been moving client money into his personal crypto accounts, skimming profits. Very illegal. You can't just, I didn't do anything. I just happened to mention my concerns to the right people. Anonymous tip to the SEC. Purely civic minded. Tucker was quiet for a long moment. You're playing with fire. They lit the match when they stole from me. This isn't just about the money anymore, is it? I thought about the years of condescension, the constant reminders that I wasn't good enough, smart enough, successful enough, the way they'd dismissed my dreams like they were jokes. It was never just about the money. That evening, I was cooking dinner in my modest Portland apartment when my laptop chimed with a news alert. I'd set up Google alerts for my family's names, purely for research purposes. Hartwell, financial executive under investigation for fraud. Miles's photo stared back at me from the screen. He looked older, more tired than I remembered. The article detailed allegations of cryptocurrency embezzlement, client fund misappropriation, and securities fraud. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Zella, if you're out there, please come home. We need to talk. Dad. I deleted it without responding. The next alert came 2 days later. Local law firm loses major client amid partnership disputes. Gianna's firm was hemorrhaging money. Three partners had quit in the last month. Their biggest client, Meridian Holdings, had terminated their contract, citing concerns about professional competency. I was researching shell companies when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Zella? Mom's voice shaky and desperate. Zella, is that you? I almost hung up. Almost. But something in her tone made me pause. How did you get this number? I've been calling every number I could find, hoping. Zella, please come home. Your father's having chest pains, and Miles is in trouble, and Gianna's practice is falling apart. We need you. You need me. I laughed, the sound bitter even to my own ears. That's rich. I know we haven't always. I know things have been difficult between us, but you're family. Family sticks together. Family doesn't steal from each other. Silence. Then, what are you talking about? My savings, Mom. The $30,000 you took for Gianna's wedding. That was that was different. That was for the family. It was mine. Zella, please. Whatever's happening to us, whatever you think we did. I hung up and blocked the number. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about Mom's voice, the desperation in it. The way she'd said whatever's happening to us, like they were victims of some cosmic injustice instead of consequences of their own actions. I opened my laptop and found Gianna's wedding video on social media. It had gone viral, not for the ceremony, but for the comments. Someone had shared it with the caption, "When Daddy pays for your perfect day with stolen money." The video had 3 million views. The comments were brutal. Gorgeous wedding. Love the bride's necklace. That necklace cost more than most people make in a year. Must be nice to have rich parents. I heard the family stole money from their own daughter to pay for this. I smiled and closed the laptop. Perfect, I whispered to my empty apartment. 6 months into my new life, I was having lunch with a journalist who had no idea he was about to become my weapon of choice. So, you're interested in a documentary about family trauma? Reed Gonzalez stirred his coffee, his recorder sitting between us on the cafe table. What's your angle? Generational patterns, how successful families sometimes sacrifice one child for the others. I slid a manila envelope across the table. I have some compelling case studies. Reed opened the envelope and pulled out heavily redacted documents, therapy records, school reports, family photos with faces blurred out. All real. All mine. All carefully edited to protect identities while telling the story. This is intense stuff. He flipped through pages documenting years of emotional neglect. The parents literally took this kid's college fund, life savings, $30,000, used it for the golden child's wedding. Jesus. Reed looked up from the documents. Where's the victim now? Disappeared, completely off the grid. No one's heard from her in months. And the family? Publicly claiming they're worried about her mental health. Privately, they're dealing with some interesting karma. I sipped my latte. The brother's under federal investigation for embezzlement. The sister's law firm is collapsing. The parents are drowning in debt. Reed's eyes lit up with that predatory gleam journalists get when they smell a story. You think there's a connection? I think the universe has a sense of humor. Can you put me in touch with any of these people? The family's very private, but I might be able to arrange something. I stood to leave. Think about it, Reed. This could be your breakthrough piece. That evening, I called Tucker from my apartment. Please tell me you didn't just manipulate a journalist into investigating your own family. I prefer the term provided newsworthy information to a qualified professional. Zella, How's Miles doing, by the way? Tucker sighed. Suspended pending investigation. The SEC found irregularities in 12 different client accounts. He's looking at serious prison time. And Gianna? Lost another major client yesterday. Word is she's considering bankruptcy. Tragic. Your parents remortgaged their house again, third time this year. I opened my laptop and pulled up the property records. Actually, about that house. What about it? Funny thing about financial distress makes people vulnerable to predatory real estate investors. I clicked through several shell company documents, especially when those investors offer cash deals through anonymous LLCs. You didn't. I did. Bought their mortgage from the bank yesterday. Technically, I'm now their landlord. That's that's diabolical. That's business. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls from unknown numbers. I ignored them and made coffee, checking my news alerts while the machine brewed. Local family's dark secrets exposed in viral investigation. Reed had worked fast. His article was everywhere: social media, news websites, morning talk shows. He'd managed to piece together enough details to make the story compelling without revealing names, but anyone who knew my family would recognize them instantly. The headline read, "The Golden Child's Wedding: How One Family's Favoritism Led to Financial Ruin." My phone rang. Tucker. Have you seen the news? Just reading it now. I scrolled through the article, impressed by Reed's thoroughness. He's a good writer. Zella, this is getting out of hand. Your mother called my office crying. She somehow figured out I represent you. What did you tell her? Nothing. Client confidentiality. But she's desperate. They all are. Good. Your brother's lawyer called too. Wants to discuss a plea deal. Apparently, Miles is willing to testify against his former colleagues if it means reduced charges. How noble of him. And Gianna's been calling reporters, trying to do damage control, claims the article is full of lies. I pulled up Gianna's Twitter account. She'd posted a long thread denying everything, but the comments were brutal. Someone had found her wedding video and linked it to Reed's article. The internet had connected the dots. The truth has a way of surfacing, I said. This isn't truth, Zella. This is revenge. Sometimes they're the same thing. That afternoon, I was grocery shopping when I spotted a familiar figure in the produce section. Eliza, my former coworker from the diner. The only person from my old life who'd ever treated me with genuine kindness. Zella? She dropped her basket, oranges rolling across the floor. Oh my god, everyone's been looking for you. Your family thinks you're dead. I'm fine. I helped her collect the oranges. Just needed a fresh start. But the news, that article about family abuse, people are saying it's about your family. People say a lot of things. Eliza studied my face, taking in my new clothes, my healthier appearance, the confidence I'd never had before. You look different. Good different. I feel different. Are you coming back? I thought about my parents' desperate phone calls, Miles's legal troubles, Gianna's crumbling career, about the house I now owned and the mortgage payments they couldn't make. Eventually, Zella, whatever happened between you and your family? They stole from me, Eliza. $30,000 I saved working two jobs, used it for Gianna's wedding, and told me I should be grateful to contribute to the family. Her face went pale. That's that's horrible. It was educational. What are you going to do? I smiled, the same smile I'd worn the night they stole my savings. But this time, it felt different, sharper, more dangerous. I'm going to give them exactly what they deserve. That night, I sat in my apartment reviewing financial reports. Miles's embezzlement trial was set for next month. Gianna's firm had lost 6 more clients. My parents had missed their mortgage payment for the second time. Everything was falling into place. My phone buzzed with a text from Reed. My editor wants a follow-up piece. Any chance your source would be willing to go on record? I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back, maybe. Let me make some calls. It was time to come home. The call came on a Tuesday morning while I was reviewing investment portfolios in my Portland apartment. This is Sarah from Morning America. We're doing a segment on lottery winners and their stories. Would you be interested in participating? I'd been expecting this call for weeks. Tucker had helped me plant the seeds, anonymous tips to producers about an interesting lottery winner with a compelling backstory. What kind of story are you looking for? Human interest, triumph over adversity. We understand you claimed your prize anonymously, which is unusual. Our viewers love stories about people who overcome difficult circumstances. I might be interested. When would this air? Next week, live broadcast, national audience, about 15 million viewers. Perfect. I'll do it. Tucker met me at the airport when I flew back east. He looked nervous. Are you sure about this? Once you go public, there's no taking it back. I'm ready. Your family's been calling my office nonstop since Reed's article went viral. Your mother sounds desperate. She should be. The Morning America studio was smaller than I'd expected, but the energy was electric: cameras, lights, producers rushing around with clipboards. I sat in the green room, wearing a simple blue dress that cost more than I used to make in a month. Zella Morrison, a producer with a headset, appeared. We're ready for you. The host, Janet Williams, greeted me with the kind of warm smile that television personalities perfect. Thank you for joining us. I know this is a big step, going public with your story. It's time. Let's start from the beginning. You won $500 million in the state lottery 8 months ago, but you claimed the prize anonymously. Why the secrecy? I needed time to process what had happened. Winning that much money changes everything. Tell us about your life before the win. I looked directly into the camera. I worked two minimum wage jobs: gas station attendant and diner waitress. I lived with my family because I couldn't afford rent anywhere else. That must have been difficult. My family made it clear I was a disappointment. While my siblings were becoming lawyers and financial advisors, I was serving coffee and pumping gas. They never let me forget it. Janet leaned forward. How did your family react when you won? They don't know. They don't know you won the lottery? They don't know I'm alive. I disappeared the day after I bought the winning ticket. As far as they're concerned, I vanished without a trace. The studio went quiet. I could see the camera operators exchanging glances. Why would you do that to people who love you? I smiled, the same smile I'd been perfecting for months. Love is a strong word for people who stole my life savings. Stole? $30,000, every penny I'd saved working those two jobs. They took it while I was at work and used it to pay for my sister's wedding. When I confronted them, my father told me I should be grateful to contribute to the family. Janet's expression shifted from sympathetic to shocked. Your own family stole from you? My own family, the night before I bought that lottery ticket. And you've had no contact with them since? None, though I understand they've been having some difficulties lately. What kind of difficulties? I pretended to consider the question. Well, my brother's under federal investigation for embezzlement. My sister's law firm is facing bankruptcy. My parents have lost their house. Do you think there's a connection between your disappearance and their troubles? I think the universe has a sense of justice. Janet glanced at her notes. Some viewers might wonder if you plan to reconcile with your family, share your good fortune. I looked directly into the camera again, knowing that somewhere my family was watching. Knowing that in living rooms across the country, people were leaning forward in their chairs. They took everything from me when I had nothing. They laughed at my dreams, dismissed my struggles, and stole my hope. Now they want me to save them from the consequences of their own actions. And will you? They took everything. I owe them nothing. The interview continued for another 10 minutes, but I knew that soundbite would be the one that went viral. The producer confirmed it during commercial break. Social media was already exploding. After the show, I sat in my hotel room watching the reactions pour in. Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, TikTok, everyone had an opinion. She's a queen for this. Imagine stealing from your own daughter and then expecting her to bail you out. The audacity of that family is unreal. Plot twist of the century. My phone started ringing. Unknown numbers, one after another. I turned it off and ordered room service. Tucker called the hotel directly. It's chaos out there. Your mother fainted watching the broadcast. Miles punched a wall and broke his hand. Gianna's been calling reporters trying to do damage control. And my father? Silent. But his lawyer called. Wants to arrange a meeting. Tell him I'm not interested. Zella, they're desperate. Desperate people do unpredictable things. Let them be desperate. They've earned it. That evening, I sat by my hotel window watching the city lights, my laptop open to the trending topics on social media. Lottery revenge was number one worldwide. Reed had published a follow up article connecting my story to his previous investigation. The pieces were falling into place exactly as I'd planned. My phone, still turned off, sat on the nightstand like a sleeping bomb. I knew when I turned it back on, there would be hundreds of messages. Pleas, threats, bargaining attempts, and desperate promises. But I wasn't ready to hear them yet. Tomorrow, I would turn the phone back on. Tomorrow, I would start the final phase of my plan. Tonight, I just wanted to savor the silence where their laughter used to be. When I finally turned my phone back on the next morning, it crashed from the volume of messages. 537 missed calls, over 2,000 text messages. My voicemail was full. I scrolled through the chaos while drinking coffee in my hotel room. Death threats from strangers who thought I was heartless, marriage proposals from people who wanted my money, interview requests from every media outlet in the country. But the messages that mattered came from four numbers I recognized. Gianna's voicemail was first. Zella, please, I'm begging you. I know we hurt you, but this has gone too far. My practice is ruined. I'm losing everything. Please call me back. Miles had sent 17 texts, each more desperate than the last. This is insane. You're destroying our family over money. Dad's in the hospital. Mom won't stop crying. Call me. Mom's message was barely coherent through her sobs. Zella, baby, please come home. I don't understand what's happening. Your father's having chest pains, and the bank is foreclosing, and Miles might go to prison. We need you. Please. Dad's message was different, colder. We need to talk. This vendetta of yours ends now. Call my lawyer. We can work something out. I deleted them all and called Tucker. Please tell me you're not checking social media. Why? Because half the internet wants to marry you and the other half wants you dead. You've broken Twitter, literally. The servers crashed twice yesterday. What about my family? Your father hired a crisis management firm. They're trying to control the narrative, claiming you're mentally unstable and making false accusations. And? It's not working. Reed published bank records showing the $30,000 withdrawal on your sister's wedding day. The timeline matches your story perfectly. I pulled up Reed's latest article on my laptop. The headline read, The Receipts How a Family's Greed Created a Lottery Winner's Revenge. He's thorough. Too thorough. Zella, they know where you're staying. Hotel security called my office this morning. Your mother's in the lobby. I looked out my window. Sure enough, there was Mom on the sidewalk below, clutching a tissue and talking to reporters who'd gathered like vultures. She's been there since 6 a.m., Tucker continued, crying for the cameras, begging you to forgive the family. Performance of a lifetime. This isn't a game anymore. You need security. I need to end this. I hung up and called the front desk. This is Zella Morrison in the penthouse. I'd like to arrange a press conference in your ballroom this afternoon. 2 hours later, I stood behind a podium facing 50 reporters and twice as many cameras. Mom sat in the front row, her face puffy from crying. She'd dressed carefully, the grieving mother outfit, complete with a cross necklace she'd never worn before. I'll take questions now. A reporter from CNN raised her hand. Zella, your mother is here today. Have you spoken to her? No. She says she loves you and wants to make things right. What's your response? I looked directly at Mom. Her eyes were pleading, desperate. Love doesn't steal. Love doesn't mock. Love doesn't dismiss someone's dreams as worthless. I paused. What my family showed me wasn't love, it was convenience. Mom stood up, her voice breaking. Zella, please, I'm sorry. We're all sorry. Just come home. Home? I laughed. You mean the house I now own? The one you can't afford to live in anymore? The room went silent. Mom's face went white. That's right, I continued. I bought your mortgage. Technically, you're my tenants now, and you're 3 months behind on rent. A reporter shouted, Are you evicting your own parents? I'm a businesswoman. I don't make emotional decisions about real estate. Mom collapsed back into her chair, sobbing. The cameras captured every tear. Any other questions? What about your siblings? Miles embezzled money from his clients. Gianna accepted stolen funds for her wedding. They're adults. They can face the consequences of their choices. Do you feel any guilt about their situations? Do they feel guilt about mine? After the press conference, I returned to my room to find Tucker pacing by the window. That was brutal. That was honest. Your mother looked like she was having a breakdown. She's had 40 years to have a breakdown about how she treated me. Forgive me if I don't feel sympathetic about her timing. My phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? This is Detective Morrison with the city police. We've had reports of harassment and threats directed at you. We'd like to provide protection. What kind of threats? Your brother Miles was arrested an hour ago for attempting to break into your hotel room. Hotel security detained him. He was agitated. Define agitated. Screaming about family loyalty and threatening to make you pay. He's being held on trespassing and terroristic threat charges. I looked at Tucker, who was listening to my side of the conversation with growing alarm. I'll be fine. Thank you, Detective. I hung up and walked to my laptop. My bank account showed a new transaction, a $30,000 donation to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, made in Gianna's name with a note, reparations from a thief. Tucker read over my shoulder. You donated the exact amount they stole. Poetic justice. In her name. She wanted publicity. Now she has it. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This isn't over. You've destroyed everything. I hope you're happy. Dad. I showed Tucker the message. He's angry. He should be, but not at me. I closed the laptop and looked out at the city below. They made their choices, Tucker. All of them. Now they get to live with the consequences. And you? Are you happy? I thought about the question. Was I happy, or was I just satisfied that the scales had finally balanced? Ask me tomorrow. The courthouse was a circus. I walked through a gauntlet of reporters and protesters, some holding signs that read Justice for Zella while others screamed Family First. Tucker flanked me on one side, two security guards on the other. Zella, do you regret going public? Will you reconcile with your family? Are you worried about the lawsuit? I kept walking. Inside, the courtroom was packed beyond capacity. My family sat at the plaintiff's table with their lawyer, a sharp dressed woman who looked like she charged by the syllable. Dad wore his best suit, the one he'd worn to Gianna's wedding. Mom clutched a rosary she'd probably bought yesterday. Gianna looked hollow, dark circles under her eyes. Miles wasn't there, still in jail on the harassment charges. Judge Martinez called the court to order. This is Turner versus Morrison, a civil suit claiming emotional damages and inheritance rights. Counselor Williams, you may proceed. Their lawyer stood up, all confidence and righteous indignation. Your Honor, this case is about a daughter who has weaponized her lottery winnings to systematically destroy her own family. The defendant has used her newfound wealth to orchestrate a campaign of harassment, financial manipulation, and public humiliation. She gestured toward my family. These are not wealthy people. They are not powerful people. They are a middle class family being terrorized by someone who should love them. Objection? Tucker said. Inflammatory language. Sustained. Williams continued. The plaintiff family requests $50 million in damages for emotional distress, loss of income, and reputational harm. They also seek recognition of their inheritance rights to the defendant's lottery winnings. Inheritance rights? Judge Martinez looked puzzled. The defendant is very much alive. Your Honor, family assets should be shared equitably. The defendant has a moral and legal obligation to support her family. It was my turn. Tucker stood and straightened his tie. Your Honor, this case is frivolous. The defendant owes her family nothing, legally, morally, or financially. In fact, the evidence will show that the plaintiffs are the ones who committed theft. He walked to our table and picked up a thick folder. We have bank records, witness statements, and recorded conversations proving that the plaintiff stole $30,000 from the defendant, money she had saved through years of working multiple minimum wage jobs. Dad's lawyer objected. Alleged theft, and even if money was borrowed. Borrowed? Tucker's voice rose. Without permission? Without a loan agreement? Without any intention of repayment? That's called theft, counselor. Judge Martinez looked intrigued. Mr. McBride, please present your evidence. Tucker called me to the witness stand. The courtroom fell silent as I walked past my family. Mom reached out like she wanted to touch me, but I didn't look at her. State your name for the record. Zella Morrison, formerly Zella Turner. Tell the court about your relationship with your family. I looked out at the packed courtroom. Cameras weren't allowed, but I knew every word would be transcribed and shared within hours. They made it clear from childhood that I was the failure. While my siblings went to college, I worked. While they built careers, I served coffee and pumped gas. They never missed an opportunity to remind me how disappointing I was. Tell us about the $30,000? I saved it over 3 years. Every extra shift, every skipped meal, every dollar I could spare went into a shoebox under my bed. It was my escape fund. My chance at something better. What happened to that money? The day of my sister's wedding, I came home to find it gone. My father told me they had contributed it to the wedding expenses. He said I should be grateful to help the family. How did that make you feel? Betrayed, humiliated, worthless. I looked directly at Dad, but mostly, it made me angry. Tucker nodded. What did you do after winning the lottery? I disappeared. I needed time to process what had happened and plan my future. Did you orchestrate your family's current financial difficulties? I made legal investments and business decisions. If those decisions affected my family's finances, that's a consequence of their own actions, not mine. Their lawyer cross examined me for an hour, trying to paint me as vindictive and cruel. She asked about the mortgage purchase, the anonymous tips about Miles's embezzlement, the media interviews. Isn't it true that you've systematically destroyed your family's livelihood out of spite? I've made business decisions based on publicly available information. If my family's illegal activities came to light as a result, that's not my fault. You bought their house? I bought a distressed mortgage from a bank. It's called real estate investment. And raised their rent. To market rate, it's called business. The lawyer was getting frustrated. Don't you feel any love for your family? I paused, looking at each of them in turn. Mom was crying silently. Gianna stared at her hands. Dad glared at me with pure hatred. I loved them for 28 years. They spent those same 28 years showing me that love was conditional on success, money, and conformity. When I had nothing, they took what little I had. Now that I have everything, they want me to forget what they did. So you feel no obligation to help them? They taught me that family is just a word, that blood doesn't mean loyalty, that love has a price. I looked directly at the judge. I learned those lessons well. Tucker called character witnesses, Eliza from the diner, Mrs. Rodriguez from the gas station, former teachers who remembered my family's dismissive attitude at school events. Each testimony painted the same picture, a family that had systematically undermined and belittled their youngest member. Then he played the recording. This is a voicemail left by the defendant's father 3 days ago. Dad's voice filled the courtroom. This vendetta ends now, Zella. You think you're smart, but you're still the same worthless failure you always were. We made you and we can unmake you. Stop this nonsense and give us what we deserve, or you'll regret it. The courtroom erupted. Judge Martinez banged his gavel for order. Case dismissed, he said firmly. The plaintiffs have no legal claim to the defendant's assets. Furthermore, I'm referring this matter to the district attorney for investigation of theft and intimidation charges. Dad's face went purple. Mom collapsed in her chair. Gianna just sat there, staring at nothing. As I walked out of the courthouse, reporters swarmed again. How do you feel about winning? I stopped on the courthouse steps and looked back at the building where my family was probably still sitting in shock. I don't feel like I won anything. I just feel like the truth finally came out. Any message for your family? They know what they did. They know what they lost. That's message enough. I walked away through the crowd, Tucker beside me. Behind us, I could hear Mom screaming my name, begging me to come back. I didn't turn around. The silence was deafening. I sat in my Portland apartment, staring at my phone. No missed calls, no desperate voicemails, no threatening texts. For the first time in months, my family had nothing to say to me. The news cycle had moved on. Miles was serving 18 months in federal prison. Gianna's law firm had officially dissolved. My parents had moved into a one-bedroom apartment across town after I'd formally evicted them. The house where I'd grown up was now a rental property, generating steady income for my investment portfolio. I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt empty. My laptop chimed with a video call. Eliza's face appeared on screen, sitting in what looked like a coffee shop. You look terrible. Thanks. That's exactly what I needed to hear. When's the last time you left that apartment? I thought about it. Tuesday? Zella, it's Saturday. Time is a construct. Eliza leaned closer to her camera. You got your revenge. You proved your point. You won. So why do you look like someone died? Maybe someone did. Who? The version of me that still believed family meant something. Eliza was quiet for a moment. You know what I think? That I need therapy? That you need to stop punishing yourself for their failures. I'm not. You are. You're sitting in that apartment like you're the one who did something wrong. They stole from you, Zella. They mocked you, dismissed you, treated you like garbage for years. You didn't destroy your family. They destroyed themselves. I closed the laptop and walked to my kitchen. The refrigerator was covered with newspaper clippings about the case, social media screenshots of people supporting me, letters from strangers who'd been inspired by my story, but none of it filled the hollow space where my family used to be. My phone rang. Tucker. I have news. Good news, I think. I could use some. Remember that women's shelter you've been funding anonymously? What about it? They want to name it after you, the Zella Morrison Center for Financial Independence. They're planning a dedication ceremony. I don't want my name on anything. Why not? You've helped over 200 women get back on their feet. You've funded job training programs, childcare, legal aid. You should be proud. I just wrote checks, Tucker. That's not heroic. You wrote checks because you understood what it felt like to be powerless. That's exactly heroic. After he hung up, I found myself thinking about those women, single mothers working 3 jobs, abuse survivors starting over with nothing, women who reminded me of myself before the lottery ticket changed everything. I grabbed my keys and drove to the shelter. The director, Maria, greeted me at the door. Zella, what a surprise! The women are going to be so excited to meet you. I don't want to make a big deal. Too late. She led me through the building, pointing out the job training center, the child care facility, the legal aid office, all funded by my donations, all helping women rebuild their lives. There's someone I want you to meet. We stopped at a computer lab where a young woman was typing furiously on a resume. She looked up when we approached. This is Sarah, Maria said. She just got accepted to nursing school. Sarah stood up, her face lighting up. You're her. You're the lottery winner who told off her family on TV. That's me. I watched that interview like 50 times. My family treated me the same way yours did. Always telling me I wasn't good enough, that I'd never amount to anything. She gestured around the room. This place gave me a chance to prove them wrong. Just like you did. You proved yourself wrong. I just got lucky. Luck had nothing to do with it. You could have taken that money and disappeared forever. Instead, you came back and fought. That takes courage. As I drove home, Sarah's words echoed in my head. I'd been so focused on what I'd lost, the family that never really loved me, that I'd forgotten what I'd gained. The power to help people who'd been where I was. The ability to turn my pain into something useful. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Saw you on the news again. Still think you're a selfish bitch. Hope you're happy alone. Miles. I stared at the message for a long moment, then deleted it without responding. Some people never learn, but I had learned. I'd learned that family isn't about blood or obligation. It's about people who see your worth even when you can't see it yourself. People like Eliza, who called to check on me, Tucker, who protected my interests without judgment, Maria and Sarah, and hundreds of other women who understood that sometimes you have to burn down the old life to build a new one. I pulled into my driveway and sat in the car for a moment, looking at my modest house. Not the mansion I could afford, but a home that felt like mine, a place where no one could take my dreams and call them worthless. My phone rang. Eliza again. How was your mystery errand? Educational. Good, because I'm coming to visit next weekend and I expect you to show me around like a proper tour guide. I don't really know the city that well. Then we'll figure it out together. That's what friends do. I walked into my house and looked around. The newspaper clippings on my refrigerator, the thank you letters from shelter residents, the photo of me at the dedication ceremony surrounded by women who'd rebuilt their lives from nothing. This was my family now. Not perfect, not traditional, but real. I opened my laptop and started typing an email to the shelter's board of directors. I had an idea for a new program, financial literacy classes for young women from difficult families. A way to help them save their own $30,000 without anyone being able to steal it. The girl who used to hide money in a shoebox was gone. In her place was a woman who could hide money in offshore accounts, investment portfolios, and charitable trusts. They'd taught me that love had conditions. I'd learned to love without them. They'd taught me that family was everything. I'd learned to build my own. They'd taught me to be small. I'd learned to be powerful. And somewhere in a one-bedroom apartment across town, they were learning that actions have consequences. The scales were finally balanced.